Hello and welcome to the Kayden Gordon Show, today's best country mix. And if you're just joining us, welcome to the show. So joining us today is Paul Seils, NJR, GNR. How are you today, Paul?
I'm well, Kayden. Great to be with you.
Yeah, we're super happy to have you here. So kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into music.
Sure. Well, we had a family band initially, like way back when we were kids, and it's always been with me, and always been a huge music fan, and I'd sort of always wanted to work and fulfill on music as a form of expression, and uh, went off and sort of did other things with a family and created a family and businesses and that sort of thing, and wanted to try and sort of get back to that point in time. And I've really sort of stepped back in a little bit more professionally, probably in around about the last 4 years or so. And then particularly since this global narrative has been happening as well. So it's like, we've really got a sense of urgency about getting out and creating. I've got a brother that's a professional musician and based in Nashville, and yeah, just been having some. I know a lot of people have been having challenging times, particularly in the last couple of years with what we're dealing with. But really got a sense of urgency, and I thought I'm going to step this up a little bit, and yeah, just do what we can, And part of my, part of what I've sort of been through with my experience is that. For some of us, we've always got things that we've wanted to fulfill on. And I got to meet some people like, Willie Nelson when I was in Nashville at some of the conferences for Billboard and that sort of thing. I mean, Willie Nelson's 88 or something, or late 80s. And, I think if it's in your blood, you're just going to do it no matter what age you are anyway. You know what I mean? So here I am, sort of an Australian over here in the US. I'm actually in Mexico at the moment, but I'm going to head back to the US in about a week or so and start doing a bit more writing and recording and that sort of thing.
Awesome. And Paul, what do you most enjoy about music?
I think I enjoy the fact that it's a universal connector with people. The language of music. Here I am in Mexico, and I got to do an interview on one of the radio stations here in Mexico. And I don't know who's worse, me being able to understand Spanish, or them being able to understand me trying to speak English with an Australian accent.
Oh,
And,
that'd be funny.
But
Sounds funny.
But what transcends it all is that it can touch people. There I am in the barbershop, although not for a few days anyway, but like just listening to good music, maybe not being able to understand the words per se, but definitely being able to be, touched and moved, inspired. And I think that's the thing as well. I grew up in a rural environment, which was quite remote. Like the rest of the world didn't exist until I was a late teenager, because we were so remote rurally where we were. And yeah, just being able to be able to connect in and reach people. We get messages from people all the time saying, like, love your music, particularly the last track, Hold the Line. And they say they sort of get up and put it on first thing in the morning and have a listen to it and have a play. And I think that's the ability is, I don't necessarily really consider myself a musician. I just have the opportunity and the ability to be able to work with some amazing people, including songwriters and musicians. And it just happens to be that medium is through sound, and we get to reach and connect with people through that. Some people do it visually, some people do it in different ways, shapes, or means for expression, but I just get to enjoy the fact that we get to create musically.
I totally agree with that. Paul, if you could duet or collaborate with any singer, who would you choose and why?
Well, that's really interesting. There's so many people in different genres and different styles of music. I guess it would be amazing to be able to, Keith Urban we used to go watch Keith Urban play in Brisbane, and there would be like a handful of people that would like turn up to watch him play at the local hotel. Mm-hmm. And, it's amazing to see what people like that have been able to do and achieve. And I think if, if there was another opportunity to be able to create something with someone like Keith Urban or whatever, that'd be really truly amazing and be an honor.
Especially because he's from Australia.
That's
so
right.
That would be really cool.
Yeah. It would be cool. Yeah, and just to be able to get that connection. My brother still runs into him every now and again when he's on tour, and I know he's super busy and super successful, as well. But yeah, there's probably quite a few people, but he's probably the most known internationally inside the US as far as an Australian's concerned.
Right, the most famous person from Australia
right.
that came to the US, and people are like, "Oh, it's Keith Urban. We know who that is."
Yeah, and that's the irony of it as well. It's like we just he worked so hard for so long, like even like 15 years and probably another 10 or 15 when he got to the US, and like just to see it flip so much to the point where he worked so hard and no one wanted to know him for so long, and then watch it flip to the point where he doesn't basically have any personal privacy anymore. You know what I mean? So it was really interesting to watch his journey.
I totally agree with that. Paul, where can people find you on social media if they want to check you out?
Yeah, they can find us via our website, which is jnrofficialmusic.com. That's our website. And of course, you can find us on Instagram as well for JNR Official Music, and also Spotify. So
do you have any?
Say again.
Go ahead. No worries. Do you have any new singles or any upcoming projects that we can look forward to?
Yeah, we're in the middle of writing and releasing at the moment. So the last single that we released, called Hold the Line, has just charted. We just got the news this morning that it's charted at number 4 on the US country charts out in Nashville. So we're super excited about that. And wanting to write more, and we've got another. I'm trying to get into the studio again before Christmas, before the end of the year, and get some new material out. So it's out hopefully by the end of the year, or at least in January.
That'd be awesome.
So it's there's certainly plenty to write about at the moment. Let's put it that way.
Totally.
Yeah.
Paul, what would you be doing now if it wasn't for music? Like, if music did not exist, what would you be doing?
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I couldn't really imagine a world without music.
Totally. I agree with that.
Someone said to me once that all cultures through time have been able to do 3 things, irrespective of the point in time. One of them is like make alcohol. The other one's make weapons, and the other one's make music.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting question, and I couldn't imagine a world without music. You know what I mean? Like, music's always been a soundtrack for our lives. Well, particularly for me, and like I said, growing up in remote communities where I can I'll hear a song that'll take me back to a point in time that I'll remember very distinctly. But yeah, I couldn't really imagine a world without music. That'd be like a world without air,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because music has an impact on so many lives. Like, whether it be country or pop or whatever, they still have a huge impact on people. So
absolutely.
Paul, what does a typical day look like for you? I know you're in Mexico right now.
Yeah. Well, a typical day at the moment, I mean, I'm pretty much on vacation at the moment between things, and about to get my butt into gear with start writing and creating again. But I've just been enjoying Mexico so much. It's my first time I've ever been to Mexico, and particularly it's such a luxury given the restrictions that are happening in the world at the moment. Everyone's like, how did you get to Mexico? So my fellow Australians, particularly in New Zealand, they're dealing with some really challenging circumstances at the moment and restrictions. So I'm really quite blessed that I've got the ability to be in Mexico. So I end up and with different time zones and that sort of thing, I very rarely find myself getting to bed before midnight or 2 a.m. And then I'm up at about 10, and, just to get my exercise in and start, following up on the creative process, and have a brunch and just get to enjoy the day. And been doing some calls and that sort of thing, but I'm only about a 5 or 10 minute walk from the beach. So I try to get into the ocean every day.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Are you in like a hotel right now, or where are you at? Where are you staying?
No, I'm in like a private, private apartment, a condominium.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And the guys were like, there's so much stuff to do here in the Bay and to see. And, just before I came up, I was down the beach earlier, and they were like, you want to jet ski? You want to hire a jet ski? It's like, I love to.
Oh, yeah.
Minyama, but I got to get back and do this interview with Kayden and his listeners. So it's, there's like a lot of sightseeing to do, fishing, the beer's super cheap and super cold, and just enjoying that at the moment as much as I can to make the most of it.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, especially since you're on like a vacation. So
yeah.
We very much appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, and it's really challenging for independent artists to get any exposure and coverage, and we really appreciate people like yourselves doing what you're doing, and particularly for the music industry and people in places like Australia and New Zealand, is where the live aspect of music has sort of really been decimated. So we appreciate any exposure that we can get for our music.
Anytime. And Paul, before we go, is there anything else that I forgot they'd like to share with us today?
No, just that we're going through an interesting and a challenging period of time, and just for us to be able to stay connected, and I guess the message to the music, whether it's like the last song is Hold the Line, but it's really just to encourage people to even in spite of the circumstances and how the world's occurring at the moment, is to get out and to be able to do that. Just like for me, at this stage of my life, to be able to get out and to be able to have achieved a number 4 single in the US country charts is really something that's deeply honored about. But it's not just for me. The songs and the music's actually for the people. So it's to encourage people to get out and just, beyond the realm of their current circumstances and situation, is to encourage people to get out and go for what you want and do what you can to achieve with what you have. And anything's really possible.
I totally agree. Paul, thank you so much for joining us right here on the Kayden Gordon Show, today's Best Country Mix. We appreciate your time to talk to us again very much.
Cheers.